We're back. We're live in the flesh. Can you believe it?
Ooh, my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Jill, I'm still trying to get used to this new camera, this fang-dangled GoPro I have set up here. And I feel like it's totally set up in orange mode right now. So I think this kind of reminiscent of somebody.
Dude,
What am I going to do? It matches the font.
hold on. Is this technical difficulties? I
It
don't even
says
know if it's
live.
working. Well, when has technology not lied to me lately? Seems like.
Okay.
I don't
Oh, we
know.
we got 6 viewers here on my
Okay.
end.
Oh, so I guess it's working. Okay.
Yeah. Right, guys? I see you there. I see Brian S. I see Chris. I see the Restream bot.
Hey, everybody. Trying to figure this out. Did everyone have a good Thanksgiving? I did once my turkey defrosted. Womp womp. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that you had some turkey issues early on in the game. In fact, I tried to contact you at least one time, and I felt that there was a turkey emergency happening. What's the
Yeah.
what's the chemical that comes out in your bloodstream after you eat turkey? What is that one thing that you produce hormonally?
I don't know. Hold on, let's see here. I gotta do some housekeeping here. We want to
Okay.
hide that. We don't want that. The starts with a T. Um,
Tryptophan. That's
yes.
what puts you to sleep. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm still riding that high of tryptophan myself. In fact, I fell
Well,
asleep in front of the fireplace about an hour ago with Cooper between my legs. It was quite the pose.
well, did you have like a turkey bone? Were you like,
Cooper's my dog, by the way. I just want to put that out there.
oh, it's getting weirder.
Not Bradley Cooper.
Nah, let's start that rumor.
Right.
We
Let's
make it
do
come
it.
full circle where all of a sudden Bradley
Right.
was getting tagged in all these weird like Bigfoot
Right.
posts, like some guy
Well,
named
they
Toby.
say create controversy. I come up with Bradley Cooper fireside with me to get views. We're going to do it.
Perfect.
All right.
Sounds like a plan. Okay, so we have a lot of ground to cover, a lot to catch up on. Why does this keep post? I don't want. Okay, sorry. Are you the one who's putting the chat up there?
Oh, sorry. I
Yeah,
did
don't do
that.
that.
That's my fault. I've taken command too much here.
Okay,
Go
don't
ahead,
do
Jill.
that because if then things get burned in that we
Let's
can't
not burn it in.
burn it in. So okay, so let's we when was the last time we talked in like
Okay.
in
So a
real
lot's happened here. Let's just talk about it
okay.
because obviously we had a holiday. I feel like it's been forever since I sat at this desk and basked in the glory that is a flash of beauty with you, Jill. So thank you so much. But the the viewership of Tara Harris is obviously something that we've just been working behind the scenes to get out there because of the fact that it is such a game changer to have a Bigfoot witness get 500,000 views, which is basically where she is in almost 7 days, in and around that mark, I believe.
Something like that. Maybe it's been a little bit longer, maybe
A
a week
little
and
bit longer, but not more than 2 weeks.
a no.
So that is the episode that we released, right? Was we immediately wanted to interview her and put her in on the special Thanksgiving episode. So we
That's
interrupted our episode epilogue from episode season 2, 1 through 5 or 6, wherever we are, and we put in the Tara Harris special. So I hope you guys had a chance to watch that. If you haven't, go back, and it looks like you've already watched her video a couple times around and shared the heck out of it. Keep doing that. But if you want to go deeper, we ask her all sorts of questions regarding her video and what she, what's going on with her now compared to what was going on then. So check out the podcast dropped last Thanksgiving with Tara Harris. It's worth watching.
yeah, and I mean, if you go through the comments, so many people want to talk to Tara. And there is a development. We're gonna try to put something together in the future. Do you want to
Mhm.
elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes. and we alluded to it with her on the podcast. So periodically, we're hoping more than periodically, but periodically, probably once a month, Tara Harris will be coming on with us doing lives, and that will be your chance to actually have a reading with Tara. Now, she opens herself up to the universe and to whoever wants to step forward, and then she reaches out to you in the audience, I believe, something to that effect. She has her own way of doing it because Spirit interacts with her so consistently that it may turn into like an interaction thing outside of the usual live stream. And so we'll either work that into our weekly show once a month, or we'll have a special add-on show once a month with her.
Mm-hmm.
And then that will be your chance to, you know, if you can, tip Tara along the way for her time, and we'll talk to you more about how that may work. Still some stuff to work out, but mainly just to make sure that she was interested in doing it. And so, yeah, absolutely.
It was crazy talking to her. She mentioned one of the reasons that she kind of shied away was that she said, well, my schedule's complicated, and if I had to like cancel or reschedule someone because of a family that
Right.
with family or whatnot, she's like, I know they'd feel awful, and I don't want to let people down. And I was like, do you know how many people cancel and reschedule me for stuff like on a daily
Right.
basis? I'm like,
We do it all the time to one another. So you have to be that way. I mean, we all have things going on outside of this. And so,
I think
when
people
she
are
can
pretty
make it,
accommodating.
yeah. I just have a feeling that she's going to be a really big voice in this community. And so I really want to amplify not just the Bigfoot phenomena conversation at all. There's something else going on here, in my opinion, way deeper than that subject matter. And Tara's, she's getting to the root of this stuff in a way that I don't know if they're all bullseyes, but she has enough bullseyes with her gift that, and this is what we talk about in the podcast, so you'll have to go back and watch that. She's hit enough bullseyes with me personally that
Mhm.
I pay attention to her when she talks.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's really interesting is going through the comments on her interview, a lot of other people who are sensitive or psychic medium or have intuitive abilities, they're echoing
Hmm.
what she's had to say. Or there's people coming forward saying, this is so validating because this is the same information I was getting. And I thought I was crazy. So
It is so nuts because it's almost been 20 years. I've never heard that word Aeolin before. And now there's this whole other conversation starting with people saying, oh, yeah, that's people throwing around Sabe all the time now. But I've never heard Aeolin. It's always been Sasquatch or Bigfoot. Uh, so that's really interesting going over, all of the native names that I've heard on the list, the word jumbles. I've never heard that word before. And we talk about maybe some of the interesting origins of where that word may have came from in our podcast too.
yeah, and there was a really interesting comment that someone made. Someone who, and I'll have to track it down, but someone cited they talked to like a park ranger or a forestry person near Mount Shasta, and they said, "Oh, the natives in this area used to call them something like something similar to Aolin, like
Okay.
Aolin or so." I don't remember.
It sounds like alien. I think it's all aliens, Jill.
But it meant and it had some specific meaning. I think I sent you a screenshot. I will track that down and eventually drop it in the chat. Um, but yeah,
Okay.
really good stuff. So more coming from Tara, and I just want to say a lot of people are also asking, like, ask her about Dogman. Is Dogman real? And she's like, yes, they are out there. Yes. So, but we can do a deep dive on that another day.
Yeah, we've got some possible Interesting stuff about Dogman to talk about if we went to at the end of this here. I did want to mention coming up in July, Sasquatch Summerfest. If you haven't got a ticket, you can get a ticket over at Sasquatch Summerfest. There's a new museum that is just now opening up on Highway 58, opened up by Priscilla Roseman. It's called Area 58, named after the highway it's on in Oak Ridge, Oregon, off of Highway 58. And during Thanksgiving, it's been about 5 years since I've had these knee impressions. I actually took the knee impressions down to this gift store, paranormal reporting center, we're going to call it, slash museum, slash Peter Byrne, archive. Like there's a lot of Peter Byrne stuff going on in this store here. So if you're interested in Bigfoot lore, definitely contact Priscilla Roseman for a private tour and soon a public meeting spot once a month to talk Squatch and all sorts of stuff and check out these knee impressions. So if you hadn't had a chance to ever see Sasquatch knees, now's your chance. I think that's what we have there. 1,400-pound hominid with unknown hair type behind lucite. Geez, for a cup of coffee, you could wander up there and take a look at this little bit of Bigfoot history and get yourself a ticket for Sasquatch Summerfest. There's been a little bit of change to the speaker roster and even a little bit of change of the venue too. So it's going to be an interesting July, and you'll be around for that. So will Brett. I'll be there hosting things along with Priscilla. And so that was what I was doing on Thanksgiving. I was carting down this little piece of, Sasquatch history, I guess.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get into our two of our latest interviews we posted, just some really quick housekeeping, because I know there's a lot of new people to the channel. We're over 50,000 subscribers now, which seems insane to me. And I feel like I need to get my act together and come up with some sort of plan to keep creating and putting more content out. But for those of you who are new here, we have two documentaries: A Flash of Beauty, Bigfoot Revealed, and the sequel, A Flash of Beauty, Paranormal Bigfoot. And in addition to those, we've released the full interviews. A lot of people watch the full interviews and start asking, why didn't you show their photos? Why didn't you show their audio? And it's like, start with the documentaries and realize that these are just additional context, because there is so much great footage. We couldn't fit it all into the documentaries. And we only license what we actually used in the finished films. It's a lot of paperwork on my end, and it would create a lot of extra editing on Brett's end. And we just want to keep this machine moving at a quick pace, getting content out to you, and maybe we'll have a chance in the future to circle back with some of these people and present their evidence. But right now, this is the way it is. That's what we're doing. It seems to be working. People seem to enjoy it.
There's a lot of interaction going on behind the scenes with all these videos, including with the moderators and yourself and even myself. So we're always in contact with people that are checking out the show and have some suggestions along the way. So we're not ignoring anybody. It's just it's hard to get to them all, really.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it goes, So anyway, we're trying.
So that's what that was my soapbox moment. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely. Well, you dropped an episode last week. We dropped an episode. Ray Harwood.
Yeah.
First chance I've had to meet him, editor-in-chief of Bigfoot Quest magazine, and he gets into the archaeology of Sasquatch. It's a really it's a beautifully shot video once again. Talk to me about that experience going on site and interviewing Ray.
We actually filmed Ray at the Yakima Bigfoot Conference back in October.
Mm-hmm.
We were up there, of course, gathering interviews for A Flash of Beauty 3. But there were other people who wanted to share. And, once we started talking to Ray, I was like, you've got to sit down with Brett and Mike and share your story. And that's Brett and Mike did the interview. I was out manning the table. If you've ever been to a conference, I'm usually tethered as to the information desk of t-shirts and sweatshirts. So I wasn't able to be a part of it, but going back and watching it, it's just a really fascinating take on it, with the idea of tools. And it's interesting. It really kind of splits the difference between I don't know. I think I wish we would have known Ray during when we were putting together a Flash of Beauty Bigfoot Revealed, because I think that would have been a really interesting a piece to include.
Yeah, I wish I had some of the photos that he had in his YouTube video, but I want people to go see them because not in every episode do we have examples of photos of what they're talking about. This one, Ray allowed us to use some of the photos, and bravo to Brett and Mike for soundproofing a conference like that, because there was no conference sound at all. That's why I'm kind of shocked that that was done under the bleachers at a conference. Is that right?
We were in like a meeting room.
Okay.
Okay, so when you're at Yakima, when you're going
Yeah.
into when you're at Legends Casino, when you're going into that main arena, on the backside of that hallway, they have like conference, like
Okay.
meeting areas, and
Okay.
it was still noisy, but
Mhm. It looked good. It sounded great. But there are some included photos that Ray took of why he was interested in this phenomenon. One of the first things that he gets into was the fact that he wasn't even into it. He just found some footprints in Yosemite while he was on vacation. Doesn't have photographs of those footprints, but he does have some of the structures that he found afterwards, including these, really ornate teepee wigwam looking structures, right? Which remind me of the Sierra sounds, the same way that those were set up, right? Were basically a big tree with a bunch of logs stacked around it, and the main pole is the giant Doug fir. And the same is here with these photographs, too. So it kind of makes you wonder about that structure, up in the Sierras, as far as whether or not that was kind of set up a little bit before the boys went up there.
that's a great question, and I could find out.
You could be yelling right
I could yell down the hall. So
now.
just
Yeah.
to interject really quick, as many of you know, we are working on a documentary about the Sierra Sounds. And just down the hall, as Brett is moderating the chat for this live stream, he's also working with David Johnson, who brought up the original tapes that his father recorded in the early 70s up at the Sierra camp, and they are going through them right now.
Yeah. It's almost, gosh, I almost want you to beg him to come up here and wave to people, but he's
I can
probably down there combing through audio.
Let's get through this, and
Okay.
I'll go on a
Okay.
walk, and
All
I'll
right.
take the laptop through the house.
But anyway, we're talking about wigwam teepee structures, and there are photographs on there. I've never seen anything like this found myself out in the wild. So these are pretty ornate. They're not just sticks,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of randomly placed. These are giant, big branches and logs punched up against the side of trees. And this is mostly northern Idaho, which is totally, an interesting area for having a Bigfoot conversation.
Absolutely, and I mean, I feel like we know enough people in northern Idaho and in that region who are having experiences. So what he had to say kind of aligned with other experiences or validation that there was stuff going on there.
Yeah. Ray gets into, I guess, the science behind how this may work as far as a primate looking for habitat, looking for dietary needs. And this is the biological explanation for what's going on. I think this is where Ray happily is. We didn't go down the weirder side of the tracks, but we don't need to, because of the fact that this is pretty fascinating too. Because if you've never seen a termite or an anthill in the wild, they're actually really scary big. Sometimes they're over 4 foot tall, and it just looks like I don't know, like a bunch of dirt and sticks and little tiny bits of bark dust all piled up in a smooth dome. And then if you peek into it just a little bit, you start seeing that the hill is moving. And you get in,
Ooh,
you break that hill open, then you'll just find a whole colony of crazy ants. Well, he was bringing up how primates use those ant hills in Africa, and they use a wetland reed, and they have, so they farm out basically a tool from a different area. Let's say the ant hills in the highland, they go down to the wetland, they grab a reed, they bring it up there. Not quite sure why it had to be from the wetlands, but maybe it has something to do with the density or the strength or the fact that it's sweet. I don't know. But they plunge it down into the anthill, so the ants climb up the stem, and then they have, dietary. I guess they have like themselves a little hors d'oeuvre or something like that. Little bug hors
protein.
d'oeuvre.
Protein.
Protein. And this is what
Alternative.
he's finding in northern Idaho, right?
Yeah.
And so there's pictures of that. And so, I mean, come on. I don't know who would be doing that. You know, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like if a kid is out in the woods punching a hole in an anthill, he's probably going to swing the stick around and open it up to see the chaos. That's not what he's showing there at all. It's very similar to primate behavior. So, my thought on it is when they're here doing their physical thing, they have to kind of go by physical standards. And
Mm-hmm.
this is one of the things that happen in this plane of existence. And this is what they're doing is they're, having a little bit of appetite for some of them little ants in their squatchy pants. So why not?
Sure.
So there's a lot here to chew on. I wanted to really quick show, if you guys are interested here, in Ray Harwood's magazine. I have seen this bandied about online. It's really a beautiful magazine covers for each one of them he has here. This one was just pretty captivating. You can find them on Amazon. Just punch them into your search engine and they'll come right up. Some of them are little collector's items. And so these would be worth having. They kind of remind me of the Ray Crow track record. Ray Crow was, of course, a Bigfooter out of Portland, Oregon. And he had, I believe it's called the Track Record, was his zine magazine. And
Hmm.
so that by no means is the only magazine out there on Bigfoot. So, but this is probably one of the newest that I've seen attempted. Everything's digital now, so to have something kind of in your hand is pretty cool.
And what's so funny is at the conference, he asked us to take a photo of him next to our poster, and that was on what, a Saturday, I guess, Saturday or Sunday. Brett, when we got home, Brett ordered his newest issue
Mm.
on like Monday and got it like the next day, or maybe it was by Wednesday. But Brett opens it up and here's the photo, and we're just like, Ray, you're
Oh, he
fast.
he put a flash of beauty in the magazine.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know if like we caught him just as he's getting ready to publish the next
Probably.
issue.
Yeah.
Um, I preferred to think that he was some sort of wizard and was able to bend time and space and the magic of,
He has given off wizard vibes. I'll give him
yeah,
that.
yeah. So
Um,
that rumor. No, but it really fascinating, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more from Ray in the future. And yeah, if
well,
you ever
I
get a
one
chance,
one other thing that he
oh,
mentioned, Jill, was, um, and this goes back to David, is that we had a chance to go on horseback this year and go bigfooting, and for me, it was the funnest, probably the funnest well, it had to have been the funnest Bigfoot trip I'd ever done. Very challenging, but to be on horseback, it just adds a whole different type. I mean, when you merge on a saddle and you have a good horse and you get used to it and the horse gets used to you, it really is crazy. I mean, it's like it's just a real adventure. But he brings up the idea that, hey, now that you're kind of becoming one with the horse, you're not walking. he may surprise Bigfoot a little bit with the gait of a horse coming into view. And these are all interesting anecdotes because we did have action as we were coming into camp and when we were leaving, and it probably was attributed to the fact that they were used to the horses coming in, and they knew people were on it. But I just thought it was interesting that he mentioned that. So if you're ever thinking of going Bigfooting on horseback, I say it's awesome. Definitely do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I'd never been before, like I said. So for me, I was, kind of biased to the fact that I'm totally sold on it. But Bigfoot Quest magazine, Ray Harwood, check it out. It has been up a week and people are really responding to it.
I think so.
Aren't they, Jill?
Yes. Yes.
Are you reading the comments?
No,
Okay.
I should though. Actually,
What are you
give me a
doing?
second here to.
Are you selling Avon right now?
Oh yeah, I'm closing the deal.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
How much for
Lip
this?
liner.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like Jackie Barnes. Did you gifted 5 Flash of Beauty memberships? Thank you. That's amazing.
What?
It's the Christmas season and Jackie is giving. Let's see here. Um,
Is this popping up on the chat or how are you getting these memos and messages?
on my phone.
Oh, okay. Some other technical medium here. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
On yeah.
Um,
I can't look. I'll get sucked into it and I'll just like start commenting and interacting.
okay.
Tobe, you have my full attention, I promise.
Okay. Before we get into our next video that we dropped here, I do want to make mention of a friend of the show. He's never really worked with us one-on-one, but far and in between does this man ever talk about what happened to him, and that's Adam Davies. He went for a full hour recently, and you can find that over on the confessionals. Just watch that one episode and come right back here. So Adam Davies over there talking about Soha and the portal. And this caught people off guard that didn't know this story. Like there is still a whole community that doesn't know that a portal opened up in Southern Oregon and that this, Adam Davies, a cryptozoologist, flesh and blood guy, had his mind blown, basically traumatized for years now.
Yeah.
Him and John Carlson looking down the face of what they would call demons in a Bigfoot area. And so this is a Bigfoot story, but is also, there's a little bit of like a spiritual battle happening here too with this portal that's opening. And they get into the specifics on what the heck that's all about. And so if you have a chance, go check out that Adam Davies story. We talk about this stuff in our documentaries as far as looking down the stranger side of the tracks and just how real it is to have something like this happen to you and how it changes you. This is one of the guys, I would consider him a friend, that it changed him. Like there was no going back. So you can't put Bigfoot in the same box anymore. This is somehow attached to it. He doesn't claim that he saw Bigfoot coming out of a portal. These things were altogether different. But it's a fuller story than people know. And so I would follow those breadcrumbs.
And even, gosh, I guess it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, Brett and I had a phone call with Adam where he recalled the entire story. And it just goes to show that even these things are happening. And correct, it may not have necessarily been a Bigfoot per se that he saw, but if what he experienced happened to him, all of a sudden his paradigm, he has to start questioning, well, what else could be happening? Like the door is open. Like what else could happen? So
yeah, and it just makes it, when you have witnesses there, even if you don't stay in close contact with them, one of them does, but when you have other people validating, just like Harold and Cody, if it would have just happened to Harold, we'd never know about this. There's no way that you talk about this if it happens to you solo as much as you do if there's two people. Because A, someone wants to talk. And B, it's just like Well, you saw it too, right? Like, you know what I got to live with this, so let's talk about it. And so this is where we are right now with so many of these perplexing issues, and we're just like the last week. You know, it's hard to make this all a Bigfoot show. The last week has been completely crazy with UFO stuff, and it's
Mm-hmm.
being witnessed by multiple people on multiple levels all over the U.S., all over the world, from the UK to New Jersey for some reason to everywhere. So we just have to normalize these conversations, and so that's why we do this once a week. Is really just a form of not only narcissism on my part, but
Of
also
course.
therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's part of my community
Right.
service.
Right.
Keeps me from burning things down. So
Well,
I'm
let's
just
get in. Let's get into Marcia. Do you want to get into that?
yeah.
Okay. I don't know where we are time wise. We're doing
Oh,
good.
we're doing
So,
fine.
um, also there is Marcia K Moore, and there's a lot to be said about Marcia. And we also did a podcast with her that will be coming out here shortly as well, tomorrow, in fact. And
Mm-hmm.
so the video on Marcia, I don't know. You actually went up to Bellingham. You were in the company of Brett and Mike when you came up here and filmed that?
Yeah. And that was, gosh, that was it back in 2021.
Was it that
And
long ago? So this is like pandemic
oh,
interviews. Okay.
or
Gotcha.
was it early 20? No, it would have been, yeah, 2021. Yeah, in the thick of it. And it was a challenge to meet up with Marcia because she had fractured her leg
Mm.
and she was off her feet for quite a bit. So we did this interview like as soon as she was like up and at him again. And if you recall in A Flash of Beauty, Bigfoot Revealed, there's a scene where she's, or no, wait, is it in Paranormal Bigfoot where she's walking on the log?
Hmm.
I just remember she's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm gonna go check this out," and I was like, "What's our insurance coverage? Because if she falls and re-injures her leg, this is going to be very bad." But she didn't, and we are very grateful. But it was such a fascinating interview, and it's one of those. It went in a lot of directions, and I feel like it could have been like a choose your own adventure
Right.
interview because we could have talked about the elongated skull. We could have focused solely on the forensic sculpture work she does with the elongated skulls and the connections to the Paracas down in South America, but
Mhm.
also Vancouver Island. And but we could also talk about her personal experiences. We could talk about, the indigenous community. We could have talked about frequency, vibration, and what is Sasquatch. And I think we it's kind of like a buffet. We got a taste of
Yeah.
everything. Um, and just a phenomenal artist. If you haven't had a chance to look through Marcia's website, or if you're friends with her on Facebook, to look at some of the artwork that she's done. And her most recent venture is one of the most exciting. And I'll
It
say,
was,
there we go,
oh,
tire
well,
squatch.
I brought it up here because Marcia is pretty proud. I think it's Bujin is the name of her latest creation here, a venture she calls Tire Squatch. You can look that up, and we'll talk more about that here as we talk about Marcia. But you're right, Marcia started off in Florida, looking basically into the hidden history of Florida, and she wanted to do it through the lens of a digital artist. And what she found is that it brought her to a stranger place than she ever really realized when she started looking in. She noticed that a lot of her artwork, she says this in the interview, had these elongated heads. And she ended up seeing a show, I believe, on it with Brian Forrester about the actual Paracas people, the actual long heads. And she was so struck by it that she got away from the digital medium for a little bit and started doing actual recreations of these elongated people, which, according to Marcia, is like a 4% authenticity rate of the actual Paracas type skulls, which have larger brain mass,
Mm-hmm.
larger volume. I believe a missing or added sagittal suture, two little weird spots in the back of the atlas area in the back of the skull, giant orbital sockets. But there was this whole other 96% of the people that were basically, trying to mimic and cradleboard their way into having their own elongated skulls. So a lot of these people ended up coming from the Pacific Northwest, according to what Marcia was saying. And so she followed her heart and packed up from Florida, moved to the pretty artsy town of Bellingham, right outside of the Lummi Reservation. The Native Americans and Marcia kind of worked hand in hand, understanding the difference between cradle boarding and the actual elongated or long headed people. So, this is the misconception that I think we just need to get out of the way first, is that emulation was basically done for a reason because there was a real dollar bill. This is one of the things I remember Ron Moorhead told me about the voices in the wilderness is that, yeah, there's a lot of counterfeit, but there's also, the real dollar bill. And so this is true also with these Paracas people, which are totally mysterious. And if you haven't looked into the Paracas skull phenomena, don't watch the terrible Indiana Jones movie about this phenomena. Go look it up yourself. Marcia is actually the real Indiana Jane, and Brian Forrester in concert with her, and even L.A. Marzulli. These are all kind of the people looking into the long head phenomena. It's very mysterious. It's very weird. And these were red-headed giants. They seem to be megalithic mound builders that came from, if the DNA results that came back are correct, they came from the Black Sea area. In fact, they came from the area of Crimea, which is also a bit of synchronicity that we were getting when we looked into the Sasquatch phenomena. Was this area near the Black Sea called Crimea, which we got to go down that wormhole later in life and put all the puzzle pieces together. But this is the way Marcia's heart is that she basically goes on instinct, and she's not really interested in making a name for herself. She's an artist. She wants to be an artist, so she basically is going with her gut on a lot of stuff and leaving logic behind, and logic kind of follows where her gut goes. And that's just really cool for the fact that it's not an act. Like, she's a really authentic artist, like a real person, and super down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these people we ended up calling really good friends, Jill, because they are as they are on camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is Marcia. Now she's in North Carolina. We talk a little bit about what happened in North Carolina. If you don't know, there was a horrible hurricane, and she talks about where you can donate some money to her because her studio was destroyed. She did start a new venture called Tire Squatch, which is reclaiming old mountain bike tires to make artistic pieces, including this, I believe, 7 or 8 foot tall Sasquatch replica named after the business itself. Luckily, he wasn't destroyed in the process of the hurricane,
He
but
survived the storm,
he survived the storm.
as the Sasquatch always do.
Well, that's true. That's true. Marcia said some really interesting things. One of the neater quotes that she said is, we have a little bit of amnesia due to the conditioning that we've all gone through. And I think that was really, that resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, for a reason, for the fact that, if you can just get yourself out in the woods like Marcia does throughout A Flash of Beauty, you see her getting out into nature to get inspired, that there is this familiarity with you being out in the woods full time as a hunter gatherer, and that those instincts are to be nurtured, even if they're uncomfortable at first, especially if you're alone. But I think it's good for you, and not only because it stimulates this part of you that exists, but I think it's physically you need to be, at least I do. I can't imagine not being out in the woods and like being a city rat. That would just kill me. And so that's why I think Marcia rocks, is that she's speaking my language, and I think she's speaking yours.
Absolutely. So yeah, definitely. If you haven't had a chance to check out the first two documentaries, watch those before you watch her full interview, and then her follow up podcast that we did is available tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. Yep. She has that little red journal sitting in her YouTube video too. I don't remember her ever mentioning that though when I went on some of the walks with her. And any woman that's still walking on old growth logs, balancing on moss with I don't know, she had like a fractured tibia from pickleball or something like that, and she's still out there trying to, you know, walk those logs, and I get that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good spirit to have. So Marcia K Moore, Tire Squatch, or you can check out marciakmoore.com. And if you have a chance, we get into that video, you can donate to the flood victims and the hurricane victims, because a lot of those guys are sleeping in tarps and tents right
Yeah.
now. And it's your chance to at least give them a sleeping bag. So, anyway,
It's my understanding the entire arts community in Asheville just got hit, just wiped out. So the fact that she's back up and running is a miracle in
I
and of
heard,
itself.
yeah, I watched some news footage, and this is the perspective. 10 Niagara Falls all came down at once. So if you ever been to Niagara Falls, which I haven't, but we've all seen the footage. If you can add 10 of those all coming down within a matter of minutes, what in the world could you do? And so there's just a lot of confusion about what's actually going on there right now. Marcia actually knows what's going on there, and she's been affected by it personally.
Mhm.
And, she has a little bit of survivor's remorse, living through something like that. But these things change you, obviously, deeply. And I'll be curious to see how this changes her artistic mission in life, because it has to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, you can only hope that the job of an artist is to, you know, transmute these experiences
Mm.
into something that others can relate to, or
Hmm.
to help share a story and help others, understand.
Right.
So, and I'm sure she will. I'm confident.
Hmm. Okay. Well, those were the two big interviews that we dropped. Um, have you been in the woods lately, Jill? You've just been nose to the grindstone doing production stuff, a little bit of car stuff. I myself have been out in the woods periodically, uh, mainly carving. Like I'm supposed to be at your house tonight,
Yeah.
hanging out, watching history unfold at the dining room table. But I just start getting all these crazy commissions for wood watchers, and this is our busy season. It goes from basically December to like January 5th after they get their Christmas cash too. So
It's a
that's
good
why I'm not
problem to
down there.
have, Tobe.
Huh?
It's a great problem to have.
It's a good problem to have. Uh, but I did get a chance to get out in the woods, and there's a little bit unfolding mystery that happened with this deer kill that we found.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And what I will say about that is that a deer suddenly showed up in the middle of an interesting turnoff that I'd taken before 24 hours earlier, and suddenly there was a very ravaged deer, to the point where I wasn't quite sure if this belonged at Skinwalker Ranch. It was just very weird looking, and it's pretty gruesome. Eventually, we'll put out the details. There actually was bones that were preserved. There was skin that was preserved. We did a full, we sent Priscilla Rosamond's husband down there, Steve, ex-police officer, to take samples, look at it as a crime scene as such. But here's the deal, is that people said they heard monkeys about an hour before Steve showed up on the crime scene. He ran into two people in the middle of the road who were stopped, unaware of this deer kill, and said that they stopped their SUV because they heard monkeys in the woods. And Steve said, "Do you mean barred owls?" And he said, "They said no, not barred owls. We know what they can do monkey chatter, right?" They're like, this was like monkeys. I don't know if they said chimps or whatever, but that was pretty fascinating because it was totally unprompted.
Yeah.
Um,
You
and
don't
so
think
I
it's
want to
the
find out
South
more.
Carolina monkeys that
What's that?
the monkeys that escaped from the research
Oh,
center in
yeah.
South Carolina? If they did a what's that Disney movie?
The Ebola monkeys are still running loose out here.
Uh,
They hopped on a train. So they're out here. So that was pretty fascinating. And
hmm.
it definitely, I ended up giving a couple of, I gave a recorder away to Alicia, who was down there, so she could kind of follow up on the area. And I just think that something's going to become of understanding what this animal kill was. Now, animals will ravage a carcass to a degree, but the strange part of it is this animal had no smell, and it looked like it was at least 48 hours old when I found it, which is kind of crazy. But there should have been an odor, and there
Mm.
was no signs of insects on it.
Oh, weird. Okay.
So there's a couple of weird things that were just like, do I call Linda Moulton Howe? What do we do here? Maybe I should put on some kind of mop suit right now and look like I'm just crawled out of a DeLorean time machine. But anyway, Marty McFly reference. Brett will get it. But so yeah, that was how I spent my Thanksgiving. I'm not a big fan of turkey, so I got to find my roadkill, no matter how strange.
Yeah, and I've just been, for those of you just tuning in, minor car accident. Car was totaled, and I was just at the chiropractor.
Ugh.
Hyper aware of my
I didn't
neck.
know if you wanted to get into it. You're gonna tell the truth, okay?
Well, maybe.
What does
But
this mean? So this mean you're down one car
mhm,
for now,
yeah,
but this could mean if there's any sponsors of Bronco that are listening, the
I'm
views are
in the
coming
market.
in. Like, what are we thinking, right?
I'm in the market. Yeah, I there's so much going on right now. I'm like tethered to my laptop
Yeah.
for the next few weeks. So whatever. Luckily, I live in an area where I can walk to just about anything I need. Speaking of walking, I was going to take my laptop and go for a walk down the hall so
Oh
you could
shoot. Oh,
say
this is
hi.
good. I
Wait,
like this.
I'm gonna cover this because
Okay.
my
Close the
area is a
laptop
mess. Okay,
and then
hold on.
open it up.
Bear with me, everyone.
Okay.
Ow. Okay.
That's all right. I'll sing a little ditty. There was a
Okay.
girl from Nantucket. Okay.
And we're on the move.
All right.
Welcome. Welcome to my.
Welcome to the lifestyles of the Squatch and famous as we
Oh,
come down.
Oh, hey,
Hey guys,
hey, what's going on, Tobe?
what's happening?
What's going on, my man?
Oh, another mother, where you been?
Look at that.
by the way. So,
Hey,
so
hey everyone.
Live streaming. Wait a minute. On my feed, you're still okay. Never mind.
If only bedrooms could talk and editing rooms could talk. There's stuff going on that you guys cannot show us. Some top secret stuff happening.
Top secret stuff.
Oh my gosh. Give us a little hint of what's happening. I gotta press a little bit.
Show them the screen.
There's the sound.
Oh, you're going waveform.
Yeah. You hear some sounds there?
I'd go spectrogram on that.
That's what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
good. Yep.
Yeah.
We were just talking about it.
Nice. Very cool.
We get it done.
Yeah.
So is that something that has been released, or is that an unreleased sound you just played?
This sound has been out there.
Okay.
We just captured it from the original tape
Okay.
72.
from 1972.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can kind of see how degraded the label
Can you
is.
get a little bit closer to camera so we can see the patina on it?
Yeah,
Look at that.
There's some serious patina on this guy.
Oh,
See that? The dirt and the grime and stuff.
That's Sierra Camp dirt and
That's
grime.
only 52 years right there.
oh my gosh, David.
It's still playing, so we're very delicate with them all.
Yeah, we're being careful with them.
So we have a quick question here. We brought this up in the beginning of the show, but we were talking about our first interview, our first talk about the first Ray Harwood of Bigfoot Quest magazine. He found some wigwam teepee shapes in northern Idaho. That kind of prompted his interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
My question to you, David, was there any sign that the structure was already kind of built when it was passed on in the 1950s, or was that just a vacant area that people want to know?
It was a vacant area. The basic attraction was the water source nearby, because the camp, as you remember, between one of our major landmarks, it was like halfway between the major landmark, you know what I'm talking about, and the camp where it sits now. The water source was the main reason of being there, and the actual structure itself was perfect for putting logs in between 5 living trees. So with the 5 living trees and the 2 that were anchored into a V was a perfect door. So everything was just built around it, and then it looked like a big beaver's lodge, as you know. And then the door was basically just a log with the rope tied around it, pulled off to the side, and then we pulled back into place. So yeah, it was just perfect for the water. And then, hey, that looks like a great place we could put some wood together here and we could build a shelter. That's exactly what it turned out, a wickiup.
And to just tell people what you're doing in town right now, you came to Portland specifically to help show things to Brett.
Moving forward with the documentary, putting together the sounds, getting them so we have them saved forever, on something other than these tapes. I didn't want to play them before putting them together where they could be saved and utilized. I didn't want the recordings and the sounds to be destroyed by playing them in any cassette tape machine and eat the tape and then they're gone. So,
but there's so many people that have never even seen you on camera, David. This is like the first time that people are kind of knowing that you exist.
Yes, I exist. I am a Johnson, one of the Johnson family. One was my father. Lewis is my uncle.
I mean, this is kind of a big deal, Brett. This is a scoop.
It is. Yeah. It's a scoop. We had no idea this was going to happen, Jill.
One of the original
Yeah. This is like
we're mixing it up, baby.
Yeah.
This is like the paparazzi busting down your door.
Right? Yeah. We want answers. Damn it.
I do live. It's alive.
He exists just like Bigfoot.
Yeah, just like Bigfoot. I exist.
Elusive. Yes.
Yep.
Well, we have some things to discuss about the future as far as the Sierra sounds, some maybe possible adventures coming up in the near future. I'd love to be a part of that conversation. And Jill, any other final words from you?
Oh, my knees. No. The light. See, now people can see what I really look like.
All right, bye, guys. I guess we're going out of the room.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Okay, bye, you guys.
Bye.
Okay, and we're
bye.
Hey, now we're on the move again.
Maybe I should start moving my laptop over to the
fireplace
with
I'll just
Bradley
broadcast
Cooper.
that from here. Look, I'm going to show off my Christmas tree to everyone also.
Oh, there you go. Ooh, white lights.
Yeah. Okay, that's enough. So I think that's all I got. Yeah.
Okay. Well, don't forget to tune in tomorrow for Marcia's podcast. Remember, that's not just on YouTube. That's over at Spotify, iTunes, several other places as well. And this is your chance to support the cause for Marcia and A Flash of Beauty. That's all I got.
Alrighty. Thanks, Tobe.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
See you, everybody.